Welcome back. Julian has already uncovered the magnificent garden of the mind and the great lighthouse of purpose. But the mountains of Sivana guard many secrets. And tonight, another mystery awakens.
The lesson of the lighthouse has ended, but something feels different. The Himalayan wind no longer dances through the flowers. The roses stand still. The mist stops moving. Julian feels something changing around him. Not danger, presence. Then, a sound. Doom, doom, doom. Heavy vibrations ripple through the sacred ground. The earth itself begins responding. Something enormous is moving toward them. Julian cannot see anything, but he can feel it.
Doom, doom. Something is almost here.
The silver fog begins opening, not all at once, slowly, as if the mountains themselves are pulling the clouds apart. The valley becomes silent again. Even the wind seems afraid to move. The hidden force comes closer, closer, closer. Julian feels his heartbeat pounding inside his chest. Then suddenly, he sees something impossible. Above the moving fog, something rises. Enormous shoulders, massive arms, a towering living figure standing beyond the mist. This was no creature and no ordinary man. The hidden force finally reaches the edge of the valley. The fog begins collapsing around it. And for the first time, Julian sees the impossible. A gigantic human figure. Not a warrior, not a king, not a monster, but an enormous sumo wrestler, standing silently within the sacred valley of Sivana. The giant says nothing. He simply watches. His body radiates overwhelming strength, yet his eyes remain strangely peaceful. The elder monk steps forward calmly. This, he says softly, is the third symbol, the symbol of Kaizen.
Julian could not take his eyes off the enormous wrestler. The giant radiated impossible physical strength, yet there was no anger within him. The elder monk smiled softly. "Most people misunderstand strength," he said. "They believe power means domination, control, victory over others. But the sages teach something far greater. True strength is mastery over yourself." The monk slowly begins walking through the sacred valley. This wrestler represents Kaizen, the sacred path of endless self-improvement. Every single day, you either grow stronger or weaker.
The monk suddenly stops walking. He turns towards Julian with piercing calmness. Most human beings run away from discomfort their entire lives. They avoid fear, avoid pain, avoid uncertainty. And slowly, their spirit becomes weak. The sacred wrestler suddenly clenches his fists. The valley trembles again. Kaizen means moving toward the things that frighten you. Because every fear you conquer expands the borders of your life. For the first time, Julian begins questioning every decision he has ever made.
Suddenly, Julian realizes something terrifying. He had spent decades building a powerful life without ever building himself. The money, the fame, the courtroom victories, none of it had brought him peace. The monk continues walking calmly through the valley. Most people improve their income, but never improve their inner world. They sharpen their careers while allowing their spirit to grow weak. The sacred wrestler remains perfectly silent behind them, but somehow his presence alone feels like a mirror, and Julian can no longer escape what he sees inside himself.
The monk suddenly points toward the sacred wrestler. That giant does not represent your enemy. He represents the self you refuse to master. Your fears, your excuses, your distractions. Every morning, human beings battle themselves. Most surrender before the fight even begins. The wrestler slowly steps forward, and the valley shakes beneath his weight. But the moment you begin conquering yourself, your entire world changes. Julian feels the truth of those words strike deeper than anything he has ever heard inside a courtroom.
The sacred valley becomes quiet once more. The wrestler stops moving. The earth no longer trembles beneath him. But something inside Julian has changed forever. For the first time in many years, he no longer feels trapped inside his old life. The elder monk smiles gently. Transformation does not happen in a single moment, he says. It happens through small daily victories over the weaker self. One disciplined thought, one courageous action, one difficult step at a time. Julian slowly looks back toward the sacred wrestler, and this time, he no longer sees fear. He sees possibility.
The sacred wrestler remains motionless within the valley, but Julian now understands the giant was never meant to frighten him. It was meant to awaken him. The elder monk slowly closes his eyes. The mountain wind carries drifting petals across the ancient pathways, and for the first time in many years, Julian feels something unfamiliar inside himself. Hope. The sacred wrestler slowly fades back into the silver mist, but the lesson of Kaizen remains. Because the greatest battle a human being will ever fight is the battle against their weaker self. And deep within the silent valley of Sivana, Julian Mantle takes the first true step toward transformation.
The sacred valley slowly awakens beneath the morning sun. The silver fog drifts peacefully across the ancient pathways, and far behind him, the lesson of the sacred wrestler remains within the mountains of Sivana. But Julian Mantle is no longer the same man who entered this valley. He now understands that true strength is not built through comfort. It is built through discipline, through courage, and through daily victory over the weaker self. The elder monk begins walking once more through the sacred valley, and this time, Julian follows without hesitation. The fear inside him has not disappeared completely, but for the very first time in many years, hope has become stronger than fear. And deep within the silent valley of Sivana, Julian Mantle takes the first true step toward transformation.
The valley sleeps once more. The flowers rest beneath the silver mist, and the sacred mountains return to silence. And now, even these old eyes grow tired too. But another symbol of Sivana still waits beyond the mountains.
I shall return soon, traveler. Until then, sleep peacefully.